I managed got called up like 45 minutes an hour before Rabbi couldn't come, Rabbi Lerner couldn't come, so excuse me, it's not prepared sufficiently organised, but we'll learn something together. This week's Sedra is Parshas Korach. Parshas Korach, we know Parshas Korach, the chet of Korach, the sin of Korach. If you want to really get to the point of the sin of Korach, was the fact that it was machloikas. It was about division. It was about making machloikas, making division between different people, different camps, and then against Moshe Rabbeinu. And today we're going to discuss. We'll learn. We're going to get a topic which is very much connected with shalom. It's very much connected with peace, it's the subject of leKaf Zechus. It's Mishnah in Pirkei Avos, in Perik Aleph, Mishnah Vav. Mishnah says, Yisroel ben Prachi Oime. Mishnah says, Yisroel ben Prachi said, Asei lecha Rav, uknei lecha chaver, v'vedonis kol adam leKaf Zechus. Make for yourself a Rav, uknei lecha chaver, buy yourself a friend. V'vedonis kol adam leKaf Zechus. Judge every person favorably. Soon we'll go into what that means. In which cases one has to judge favorably, in which cases one can maybe be a little bit not so judge favorably, depending on the circumstances.
You say kol adam. Kol adam means everyone.
Kol adam means everyone, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So we'll show how it means everybody as well, because sometimes, obviously, if it's a question of danger to you or something like that.
Well, wait. I'm sorry. I didn't connect. What's the connection between Korach and Havidonis Kol?
Oh, I haven't got there yet.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's why. That's the shiur we're going to talk about.
So that's the So leKaf Zechus. Obviously, there's situations. It's no good if two people are fighting, and someone comes to you, and you say, "Oh well, leKaf Zechus, I don't believe you that the other person is causing you harm or anything." You may be being done one person leKaf Zechus, but you're not helping the other. So there are situations where it gets more complicated, where obviously leKaf Zechus doesn't come into play. And we're not necessarily going to talk about that so much, but what we are going to talk about is more how broad leKaf Zechus is. That it really, like the Mishnah says, "V'vedonis kol adam." Judge every single person leKaf Zechus, how it can apply to different people, and even wide a broad amount of people. So in this, it's Parashas Kedoshim. The pasuk says, "But tzedek tishbot es am yisachar." Let me just find this. So the first we'll discuss a little bit whether is leKaf Zechus some sort of good middah that we have to. You go to your Mussar or chassidus class, and they teach you that leKaf Zechus is something that you should, it's a middah you should aspire to. You should try and always judge people favorably, or is it like a chiyuv min haTorah? I always thought when I was reading the Mishnah, it's Pirkei Avos, you think Pirkei Avos is called mili de chassidus. It's called extra things which are lifnich. Chassid is someone who goes lifnim mishur sadin, who goes beyond the letter of the law. So I always thought, growing up, leKaf Zechus is one of these nice middas. He says in Pirkei Avos, not that it, of course we have to do it, but it's not.
No, I'm laughing because I also think like this.
So like the Mishnah says, having makdim shalom l'chol adam, say hello to everyone, so be leKaf Zechus.
Yeah, okay.
No, but I'm thinking maybe if you're done kol adam leKaf Zechus, if you have two people and the judge is there, he has to go all the way lifnav lifnim to see what the problem is. Don't just be more careful to judge each one, and not to say, "Oh, I heard that. Okay, the other one is zakat, that's chayav." You have to go all the way. That's what I think. Maybe is.
But the question then is: does it only apply to the judge, or does it apply to every single person?
Every person is judge. But you see two people fighting, and you favor this, not favor this. You're a judge.
Even in your head, even when you don't speak.
Yeah, that's right.
So in fact, he's touched upon one of the issues. There's a discussion whether the mitzvah, the pasuk said, "But tzedek tishbot am yisachar." This is the source of the leKaf Zechus. Like I was saying, I thought it was a nice middah, but then the truth is, when you go and look into it, you learn to be on the topic of leKaf Zechus, you see that leKaf Zechus is really based on a pasuk in the Torah. The pasuk in the Torah is in Parashas Kedoshim, where the pasuk says, "Mitzedek tishbot am yisachar." You should judge your friend with righteousness, and that's the mitzvah of leKaf Zechus. What's the connection to Korach? Let's start off that way. The connection to Korach is because before we see what the mitzvah is, the reason of the mitzvah, in the Sefer Chinuch, where he goes through and explains the reasons of each mitzvah, he writes, "Gam b'meh she'amarnu shekol adam chayav lodun chaver leKaf Zechus." Also, with which we discussed that every single person is obligated to judge his friend leaning favorably. Shahu b'chlal mitzvah, which is included in the mitzvah of b'tzadik tishbet hamisecha. Yasiba liyos bein anoshim shalom v'reyos. He says that leKaf Zechus is a cause that there should be between people peace and friendship. How does machlokas happen? How does a husband and wife fight? How does anyone fight?
For nonsense.
It starts off, for nonsense, but it also starts off with a misunderstanding. You think the other person did something to you. You hurt me, right? So you think, oh, they must have meant something bad. Really, you misunderstood them. Often it's misunderstanding. With leKaf Zechus, you can stop the machlokas before it even starts. Once you're already involved in the machlokas, it's already much more difficult. But at the beginning of the machlokas, very often, machlokas starts when one doesn't judge favorably. So one presumes the worst about his friend, his wife, his child, his pupil, his teacher, whatever it may be. And that causes a machlokas, that causes a person to start arguing. What are you doing? You're getting on the defensive, you're attacking me. But really the person's not attacking you. If it would be done leKaf Zechus, we would say no, let's reserve judgment. I don't know. And not only do I not know, I think he means well. He had a heart, whatever it may be, as we'll see soon.
He was the first one with machloket Korach in the Torah that we know. I don't think before was anyone.
Well, Yosef Echad.
Why do you mean Klein and Havel? He killed him. That's not a machlokas. He killed the guy. Okay, his brother killed him. That's right away. Chapter 1.
Yeah.
Chapter 1. Service.
You know, I'm just thinking now. What you're saying? Why Korach?
Dasan and Aviram. There you go. Dasan.
So I think about Korach. Why?
Always.
Why do we talk about Korach?
Right.
It's true.
I think because of him. Pirkei Avos, or we know it's machloket came to the war. He was a severe machloket, not like the Tam Ba'avirat or Klein. They started.
There were other things there.
Because Kairach was chaylik on Moshe Rabbeinu, on the whole idea that you have the manig and then.
Right. If we would not have Korach, we would not do all the. We would not know that איזה מחלוקת שלא לשם שמיים אינה מתקיימת, לשם שמיים מתקיימת because of him.
Yeah.
So we have to say thank you to Korach, the Rabbi said, because of him we know all the other things.
Korach is like when we talk about machlokas, we talk about Korach.
Yeah.
But he was chaylik on the whole manhikas of Klal Yisroel. That's against the Torah.
The Mishnah talks about machlokas.
Against the Torah, you'd only chaylas all these.
When the Torah talks about machlokas, there's Eizu machlokas shi l'shem shemayim, Mishamai v'hil. Eizu machlokas she'ein l'shem shemayim. There's Korach v'chadach. When we talk about machlokas, a negative machlokas, Korach is like the symbol of machlokas.
Bet Shammai, Bet Hillel, when Mashiach come, we all forever Bet Hillel said to be according to Bet Shammai. Yeah, be the opposite.
Did you ever see the source of that?
The what?
That Lati Labo, halachas like Bet Shammai.
I think it's an Arizal.
I know that's what,
but did it find
that's
it?
what people say, but I've been through that Arizal and I never found anything to that effect.
Right. I can, maybe look it up later. Because I know somewhere it's footnoted.
And I know a lot of things that said in the name of the Arizal, which when he never said it.
Right.
How they can say it? They're editing. It's in the book.
It's like here today. A lot of people say, well, such and such, where they do some kind of minhag, and they say, well, it's all Kabbalah, but they don't know anything about the minhag. You just say it's all Kabbalah. So
they got it from someone. People will not say stam. They got it through the parent, the grandparent, the great grandparent.
No, I mean in Hakanami, you gotta look for the sources. I agree with you.
So the source of many machlokas is when people don't judge favorably, when people are not done leKaf Zechus, and that's what he says over it. In the Sefer Chinuch says, "Shehu b'chlal ha-mitzvah yisibur liyos bein anoshim shalom beis." When you judge someone favorably, when you done leKaf Zechus, that's the cause that there should be peace and friendship between people. The Nimsa. One second. The Nimsa. Let me just finish. No, doesn't say Klein. Just like Shalom, that there'll be peace.
But what parish is that?
This is Parashas Kedoshim. Yeah. Where the pasuk said, "B'tzedek tishbet hamisecha." That's the verse. That's the source.
Yeah.
Judge your friend righteously, fairly, shall we say, and included. We'll soon see that the leKaf Zechus, the Sefer Chinuch writes, is included in B'tzedek tishbet hamisecha. And what I wanted to first say is the connection with Korach is that the leKaf Zechus is a sibur liyos bein anoshim shalom v'reyos. It's source to be with between different people, peace and friendship. The whole purpose of the mitzvah is lahoyel v'yishuv b'nei adam, to help that people should live together in yosher adin, fairly, fair judgment, but loseis b'neim shalom, and to bring peace between the people in siluk hachashad ish be'ish, through removing suspicion. If people are always suspicious, then that's, and we live in a society now which in many ways people are suspicious, and people are always thinking maybe people are very suspicious of each other, but that's not conducive to a good society. A good society is built when one judges favorably, one presumes whenever possible, and we'll soon see details of the dinim and how one's supposed to use it. That's the general idea, leKaf Zechus, why I chose, well, why, not why I chose, but what the connection to Torah.
I mean, that's a mitzvah where he says the reason is there should be shalom, but the chinuch is saying what? I'm leKaf
Zechus, the purpose behind leKaf Zechus is shalom. leKaf Zechus, where leKaf Zechus leads to. leKaf Zechus leads to shalom, which is the opposite of machlokes.
No, but I mean, the Seibra chinuch that you're quoting, that it says the reason behind the mitzvah is there should be shalom.
Right.
So that mitzvah is B'tzedek Tishpat HaMisach.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
B'tzedek Tishpat HaMitecha is for the judge, and Shalom one is maybe for everybody. Possible?
So let's put it this way. Yeah, you're right. Let's put it this way. The pasuk said B'tzedek Tishpat HaMisach, and I'll read out to you from the Sefer HaMitzvahs of the Rambam, who goes with the same thing as the Sefer HaChinuch. And he says, in Mitzvah Kuf Ayin Zayin, the Sefer HaMitzvah says like this. I'll read out the whole thing from the beginning till the end. It's not long.
This is Sefer HaMitzvahs now?
Sefer HaMitzvah of the Rambam.
Okay.
Yeah, so Mitzvah's Asay number 177. Mitzvah Kuf Ayin Zayin. The Rambam writes, he shetziva lechol hadayonim. The mitzvah is for all judges, lahashveis bein balidin, and to be fair between the people who come, the people who are coming to the din Torah. V'shayiyah nishma kol echad mehem im oirech devar v'oikiturim, like you said, that the dayonim should hear, whatever they have to say, whether it's long, whether it's short. Listen. V'hu amru yis'ala, and this mitzvah is what the Eibishter says in the Torah, Hashem says in the Torah, but tzedek tishpat hamisecha, that a person should judge his friend with tzedek, with fairness, with righteousness. Or v'ha pirish b'sifri, the Rambam quotes, in the Sifri, how does this express itself in the courtroom? How does it express itself better than Torah? The judge can't come. He's impatient. He likes this guy, or whatever. This guy sounds smart. This guy doesn't. He listens to him, to his whole drasha, and the guy who sounds funny, whatever.
To be fair,
he cuts him off. Yeah, be fair. That's one thing. This is one of the kavanas which this sivoy of B'tzedek Tishpat includes. Number one is, I think it's just an example, but number one is be fair. Don't give one, we'll soon see the Gemara, don't give one more than the other. Don't give more time, or we'll see other examples we might see some more examples in the Gemara and Midrashim. That's number one. Number two is the second part of the mitzvah. The mitzvah has different parts in it. The second part of the mitzvah, the second chelik of the mitzvah is, Uvol Gamkein, the Rambam says, the pasuk is also coming to say, Shekol ish mitzvah lodun din Torah. Every person is commanded lodun din Torah, to make a din Torah. If you know that, you know din Torah, you know how to judge, you know how to be a dayan. So when it needs to be a din Torah, there's a mitzvah. B'tzedek tishpat hamisecha is the mitzvah that every person, if possible, should be a dayan. You know of an argument, be the dayan. That's number two. And number three, so far, all we said, the mitzvah B'tzedek Tishpat HaMisachah, the 177th mitzvah Saseh that the Rambam enumerates, is all about dayanim. The dayan should be fair to the people who come to him. The dayan should judge. B'tzedek Tishpat, he should actually go and judge. But the third thing the Rambam writes, however, the Biur Amru, they also explained something. Sorry, not yet. And this is actually the source the Rambam says that in Torah one person can be a judge. The whole source for three dayanim, It's a Sugin Sanhedrin. It's not the topic of today, but just because he mentions it, this is the source of that, according to the Rambam at least, that B'tzadik Tishpat HaMisecha is that one person can actually be a judge. It doesn't say
Tishpetu, say Tishpot. It's one.
B'tzadik Tishpat HaMisecha.
This is why the Rambam said that.
Sanhedrin.
Yeah.
That Echad Mumche, one guy Mumche,
Right.
From this passage.
Right. Now we get to number 3. Number 3 is that applies to us as well. The B'tzadik Tishpat HaMisecha, the passage which says you should judge your friend favorably, is not only talking about in the Tishpat. Tishpat sounds like judging, sounds like a din Torah. No. The Gemara says, we'll see in the Gemara inside soon. It also includes the mitzvah of B'tzadik Tishpat HaMisecha. It also includes she'yischayev sheyodun es chaveiroi leKaf Zechus. He should judge his friend favorably, and he shouldn't interpret the actions and the words of his friend only for good. Okay, that's the end of the Sefer Mitzvahs. So why do I say this? Because when we're going back to how I started off, is Don leKaf Zechus some sort of midot toiva, a mili de chassidus, or some sort of lifnei mishur sadin, like having makdim shalom l'chol adam, say hello to everybody. So that's one mission in Pirkei Avos. The mission Don leKaf Zechus, judge yourself favorably. You could see Don leKaf Zechus in that sort of sense, that it's a midot toiva that a person should aspire to. It's not an actual absolute halacha or chiyuv. But here, the way it says in the Sefer Mitzvahs is clear. No, the pasuk says B'tzadik Tishpat HaMisecha. And the Rambam doesn't make it up himself, obviously. The source of the Rambam is in the Sifri, but also the Gemara in Shavuos. The Gemara in Shavuos, Daf Lamed Amud Beis, which also, the Gemara explains that the pasuk B'tzadik Tishpat HaMisecha doesn't only refer to a dayan. There's another explanation, and that other explanation is with regards to every person, when he kind of passes judgment, he should judge favorably. So let's see the Gemara inside. The Gemara says, Shavuos Daf Lamed Amud Beis.
But where is the link? It's from Havitanas Kol Adam leKaf Zechus in Pirkei Avos to the mitzvah B'tzadik Tishpat HaMisecha. How do we know it's the same result? You know what I mean? Because
the Gemara.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
What is the Gemara?
So we haven't yet. The Sefer Mitzvah says that B'tzadik Tishpat includes Don leKaf Zechus.
Oh yeah. Okay.
That's what we're just saying now. The source is from the Gemara. We'll see the Gemara now.
Yeah. Okay.
See the Gemara now. The Gemara in Daf Lamed Amud Beis goes like. 1 second. Daf Lamed Amud Beis or Daf Lamed Amud Aleph. Tonu Rabbana. The Tzedek Tishpat HaMisecha. Pasuk says, "B'tzadik Tishpat HaMisecha." Here, there's some more examples. When I read the Sefer Mitzvahs, we said that the example the Rambam gave was that the dayan shouldn't let one person say everything he wants to say. When it comes to the second guy, he just cuts him off short. That's not fair. That's not righteous. That's not. So here it says a different example for the B'tzadik Tishpat, which applies to the dayan, to the courtroom. Tanu Rabbanon, Brayza says like this: B'tzadik Tishpat HaMisecha. You should judge your friend favorably, righteously, fairly. You can't even have one guy sitting down, one guy standing up. The guy who's standing up is going to feel more nervous, whatever it may be, and it's already not being fair. Here's the Rambam makes example. You shouldn't have one person talking kol tzorko, everything he needs to say, and with regards to the other person, shorten your words, be quick. Dover Achar, but here comes the Gemara. Dover Achar, another pshat B'tzadik Tishpat HaMisecha, habidon es chaver kol leKaf Zechus. Judge your friend favorably. So this is the Gemara. The Gemara clearly learns that B'tzadik Tishpat HaMisecha refers to not only the dayan in the Bezdin, but every single person.
How you can dan kol adam leKaf Zechut? If you have two people here, one of them zakai, one is chayav. How you can dan both of them leKaf Zechut?
So that's actually, so Don leKaf Zechus is more like just when there's one person. One person does an action and or does something which.
Oh, for one person.
Yeah,
Okay.
we see examples.
So that's Meseches Shavuos?
This is Meseches Shavuos Daf Lamed Amud Aleph.
Okay.
Gemara, when it's talking about the Dayanim, it talks over there and it says that from B'tzadik Tishpat HaMisecha, besides for the Dayan being fair, there's also Don leKaf Zechus.
Wow.
Now, the answer seems to be that no, there's a beferish mitzvah. The Sefer the Gemara in Shavuos Daf Lamed Amud Aleph. We saw the Sefer Chinuch includes it in his mitzvah. The Rambam, they all say that there's a mitzvah asay min haTorah to judge, to be done leKaf Zechus. That is the that's what it sounds like. And a lot of the moinei mitzvahs, the people who count the mitzvahs, the charedim and the smag and the smack and all the people who count the mitzvahs, when they count the mitzvahs, one of them is b'sadi tishbis hamisecha, and they include in the mitzvah that every person should judge his friend favor.
What happens if somebody, if a bezdin didn't do that? They didn't judge leKaf Zechus. And whatever
they gave a psak. You're saying?
Yeah, they gave a psak. And it was incorrect because they didn't do the procedure correctly.
The truth is that not every time that you don't do the procedure correctly is there going to be a wrong psak.
I understand.
So I don't think they go back. I don't.
No, do they have immunity, or this is something that gets straightened out? Lots of love.
I'm sure it gets straightened out. I also love it, like all things. But down here, I don't think, unless there's like a tarbid, even certain mistakes, a lot of dinamits around, even certain mistakes that Bezdin makes, they can't go back on. It's like, I think there's a tarbid var mishnah, if they made a mistake, something which is black and white, as in the Shulchan Aruch, that you can go back on. But if it's something which is an argument which is proven false, or for sure, I would think something like this, where you don't even know the psak was wrong based on it. It's just like a lechatchila dekadin. It's the way of judging. The way you get to the correct psak is the surest way of getting to the correct psak is judging fairly, not letting one guy stand, one guy sit, one guy speak for an hour, and the other guy speak for 2 minutes, etc.
I was once by court. I went to help my friend. He didn't have a lawyer. He told me, you can't speak.
Right.
So we're standing in front of the judge, going.
Yeah.
And what about the yarmulke? And the other guy talking. When my friend's saying what he wanted, and I want to help him, tell him I heard you. Tell the other guy continue. I told him, Your Honor, you can give him a chance to say something.
Right.
It's exactly what he just said. He just cut him off.
Right.
So I told him, Your Honor, please, you have to hear what he said. He said, okay, you can talk. You tell him, okay, you can talk. But it's exactly, sometimes they just cut you off. So, maybe he saw us with yarmulkes.
It's not
He anticipates what he's going to say, that's
why.
fine.
Judge, right? The guy you should judge.
Yeah, and they had the guys hiding there.
But you're right, it could be they were prejudiced. Because,
I think so. 100%.
I personally, I knew a case of two people I know, and one was a landlord and one of the tenants. So the guy that's the landlord, he went to court, he didn't wear a copy. And the guy, the tenant, whatever, and the guy was the tenant lost. And you have to give him money, it was very... he shouldn't have taken him Lamais, you know what I mean? It was, I know such a case, because I knew both of them. And he told me, he said, because he came, he didn't wear a couple, and I did. I'm sure it was the judge, he made me look bad, and the judge probably figured, it was prejudiced on me. It's very unfortunate.
So that's all the... That's if you see all the Moinei mitzvahs and the Gemara, and there's a Medrash, there's a Sifri. They say that there's a donis to judge your friend. leKaf Zechus is a mefurish. It's part of it's a chiyuv min haTorah. It's a mitzvah asim min haTorah beside the tishba misach. Now the problem is like this. This is like what I'm going to build the shir on. Obviously, we'll learn about leKaf Zechus and the various halachas. But the question is a big question. The Rambam in Sefer Mitzvahs writes the Besadik Tishbet Samisacha it tells me that there's a mitzvah asay to be done leKaf Zechus. That every person, not just in court, every person in his dealings with somebody does something which he could explain favorably and not favorably. He should decide that the guy meant no harm and the guy really had good intentions or whatever may be, as we'll soon see. In the Rambam in the Sefer Yad HaChazak in Mishnah Torah, when the Sefer Halachas of the Rambam, not where he's counting the mitzvahs, where he's saying the actual halachas, makes no mention. But Sadik Tishbet Samisecha, he says, is the din for the dayanim. And when it comes to Don leKaf Zechus, he mentions it in Rambam, but if you see what he says, it's clear, it seems clear from the Rambam, that the Rambam holds, Rambam is of the opinion that Don leKaf Zechus, in regular dealing, in regular personal outside of court matters, is not like a chiyuv min haTorah. It's not mitzvah sasei min haTorah b'sadi tishba. Well, let's see. And then and if so, it's going to be a contradiction between the Sefer Mitzvahs and the Mishnah Torah. We have to find an answer. Look, so in Hilchos Deis, Perikei Halacha Zayin. Hilchos Deis is where the Rambam writes all the halachas about how one's supposed to behave, and middas Torah is good middas. So there's a parak which is dedicated to a chacham, how a Talmud chacham should behave. A Talmud chacham has to. A Talmud chacham is somebody who should and somebody who does act like better, cut above everyone else. And when he says how a Talmud chacham should behave in Halacha Zayin, he says Talmud chacham lo yehi tzoyek v'tzavech b'shas dibur kivhemes v'chayes. The Talmud chacham shouldn't shout or scream when he talks like animals do. V'lo yakbiyo koilo b'yoysa. He shouldn't raise his voice loud. Elo diburoi b'nachasim kol habris. He should talk softly with everybody, etc., etc. Or magdim shalom l'chol adam. Right? He should say hello to everybody. He should always be the first one to greet people. Kadesh rucha noichem, and that people should be happy from him. People should be, they should get the right feelings from him. Then he says, "V'donas kol adam leKaf Zechus," and he should judge every person leKaf Zechus. What does it sound like? It's a Talmud chacham. A Talmud chacham. It's a good middah to have. If you're aspiring to be a Talmud chacham, if you are a Talmud chacham, this is how you should behave. V'donas kol adam leKaf Zechus. Nowhere does he say it's a mitzvah asay min haTorah. The tzaddik tishbei samisacha. The pasuk's not brought up. So this is the issue over there that we have.
In Pirkei Avos it says. There's different places where it says not like this, but not like this. So if a Talmud Chacham doesn't have these qualities, does that make him ois Talmud Chacham?
Are you saying like Chilufein b'Goylam over there? Shiva middas b'Chacham, 7 middas in there.
Yeah.
A real Talmud Chacham does all these things. I mean, a Talmud Chacham doesn't mean someone who's very knowledgeable only. Talmud Chacham is the Torah has had he's a Talmud Chacham. He's learned from his Chacham.
I think the Talmud that he's continuously learning.
Yeah, but also but I'm saying but it affects his life as well. Yeah, that's you see clearly from this parak. There's a whole bunch of middas which come along with being a Talmud Chacham.
So in Shua, the Rabbi would say from mitzvahs, he says it's a mitzvah min haTorah.
Tzaddik tishbei samisacha tells me amongst other things, don leKaf Zechus.
But here in Hilchos Dayis, he describes it as a midah of Talmidei Chachamim. It's like a midah of chassidus.
Exactly.
So that's like a question, a shtickle stira.
Right. Exactly.
Okay.
A big stira.
Yeah.
More than a shtickle stira.
Okay.
Yeah.
The first
thing
thing.
be that the Rambam wants to say, I'm expecting everybody to be a David Chacham, I'm expecting everybody to be a Dayan. And that's the same thing, like I say, except for the mitzvahs. I'm not talking just the Dayanim, and he doesn't differentiate.
Right, but then you could say that he's expecting everyone to be a Talmud Chacham, but it wouldn't be if there's a mitzvah.
He's telling you what's the halacha.
When the Rambam writes in other places, it is a mitzvah chiyuv to do something. He says mitzvahs asay. That's how he writes. It's
and
the language.
He doesn't say mitzvahs asay to be a dayan mitzvah. The mitzvah is to leKaf Zechus.
Right. So it doesn't.
And for this, it could be a small Talmud Chacham, a Talmud Chacham. It doesn't have to be a dayan to do that. It's not seiter. It's not steered to the sefer mitzvahs.
I hear what you're saying, but in the context of like all the other things in that parak are all things which are like things which are he talks about how a Talmud Chacham's dress should be clean.
You should have mentioned more detail. Yes, you're right.
If you read it, it's clear that it's like a middas. It's a middah toiv. It's a good middah. It seems clear from the halachas. It's like something which a Talmud Chacham should try and do. Yes, we should all try and be Talmud Chacham, but it's something we aspire to. It's not a chiyuv. It's not an actual absolute obligation. It's a mitzvah beside the tishra mitzvah. So it's a steer. So there's a simple answer. Simple answer is given by Ri Perlo. His name is Chidush Ri Perlo, and he writes very simple. The Mishnah Torah was written after the Sefer Mitzvahs. Chozaboy, the Mishnah Torah changed his mind in the for whatever reason. And he doesn't explain why. In the Sefer Mitzvahs, he learns that it's talking about also every person has to judge his friend leKaf Zechus. And the Rambam he learns not that way. In the Rambam and in the Mishnah Torah he learns that it's reserved for the Dayanim and it's just a middah. It's a Talmud Chacham should try and aspire to be done with leKaf Zechus. That's the simple answer. It's not so geschmack. It's not so, and it also is lacking explanation because at the end of the day, a few questions. The Gemara in Shavuos, it's not just the Rambam. Even the Rambam. There's a Gemara in Shavuos which says that we learn Mitzvah Tish B'Dam Yisecha means don leKaf Zechus. But the real problem, obviously, is it's a contradiction. It's a stira. The Sefer Mitzvah says one thing, the Rambam says another. The fact that he changed his mind could be. There's lots of other times when we see, sometimes even the son of the Rambam said that the Rambam changed his mind, or sometimes the Rambam even wrote himself in his Truvas that I've changed my mind. So it's not like the Rambam. We know that the Rambam could change his mind and did sometimes. So it's not like it's a fair answer. But But the question is,
This is the last answer when you could do. You could say
it's a cop out.
Yeah.
It's a little bit of a cop out. Yeah,
the
if
last
you want to call it.
Why? Hashem allows U-turns. You go down the highway.
No, of course He allows it. Yeah, but I'm saying that
recalculate.
Change lane.
Recalculate.
it makes more sense to say that the Sefer Mitzvah and Rambam fit in with each other than to say He changes man. If we can say it, so that's what we're going to try and do. That's what we're going to see. And then, I'm not saying anything on my own here. So let's just see the Mishnah, the way the Rambam explains the Mishnah in Pirkei Avos.
Parish Mishnah.
In Parish Mishnah is Lo Rambam.
Vishval Ruach, it said about the Chacham. Vishval Ruach is the first thing.
In that Mishnah?
I think so, no?
No, I don't think so. Asay lecha chava, asay lecha rav, aknei lecha chava. Perek Aleph Mishnah Vav. So okay, we know the Mishnah. Shul ben Prachya said, "Asay lecha rav, knei lecha chava, levedonis kol adam leKaf Zechus."
That doesn't mention what you say.
Sorry,
No, it doesn't mention what you say.
who doesn't?
What did I say?
The girls.
No.
When it said Vishval Ruach.
So
Different Mishnah.
let's see. I'm just going to skip to where he talks about it. Oh, let's read it. It's not so simple. You learn when you're young, you learn in school, judge everyone favorably. It doesn't matter how, obviously, when you grow up, you realize that life's complicated, and you can't just. But there's halacha, but there's mission, but there's Torah. Torah guides us, and we. Some people think that Torah is about. Torah has what to tell us about. How to wash your hands and all the things. Just love your friend, and the Torah doesn't go into detail. But the truth is, although in Shulchan Aruch, there's no arichos in Shulchan Aruch about a lot of these things. But in other places in Torah, there's and especially even in chassidus Tshuvos of the content, people Rabbanim over the generations, they says clearly over there. Many details in Bein Adam leChaveiro in how to behave. So we only need to. So let's see the Pirush Rambam. The other Rishonim say very similar to the Rambam, but let's read what the Rambam writes over here in Pirush Mishnah Lo Rambam on the words Ve'havedonis kol Adam leKaf Zechus. Says the Rambam in Yonai. What does this mean? Kashiyah Adam. When you have a person, Sheloi Teida Boy Im Tzadik Hu Im Rasha. You don't know the guy. Or you know the guy, you don't really know where he's holding. You don't know if he's a tzaddik or Rosh. Isn't that? But tir'eu sheyasa ma'isa, you see that he does something. Or yoim adava, or he says something. She'im tefo she'al derech achaz yitov. You can interpret it in two ways. You can interpret it one way, that'll be good. Classic, a simple, basic example. You see someone who you don't know is from me. Maybe like this. You don't know if he's showing a Shabbos or not. There's people, you don't know if he's showing a Shabbos. You see him driving in the car on Shabbos. So look, I don't know if he's showing a Shabbos. I could presume that, even in this case, maybe most people are not from.
He's taking his wife to the hospital. She's pregnant.
Right,
she's expecting.
No, but I'm saying it's someone that you don't know. No, I'm saying it's someone. Let's say it's not someone. It's someone you don't know if maybe he's not wearing a yarmulke. Maybe he's not. You don't know if he's showing Torah mitzvahs or not. But it could be they keep Shabbos. It could be there's people who don't look like we do, but they keep Shabbos. They keep Shabbos. So when someone's driving, you could say, oh, he's being Mechal Shabbos, or you could say he's driving to the hospital. Doesn't have to be, or emergency, right? So this is Don leKaf Zechus. You have a person you don't know who he is, or you know him, but you don't really know if he's from guy. You don't know if he's a good guy. You don't know if he's a tzaddik or rasha. But tir'eu sheyasa ma'isa. You see him do something or say something. She'im tefal she'al that's right. Ve'im tefal she'al derech acheres. And if you explain it another way, yira, it'll be bad. There's two ways of explaining it. Says the Rambam, Kacho Yisrael HaToiv. Take the good way. Presume that the reason why he's doing it is for good reason. V'lo yitachshev b'ira, and don't think any bad about him. That's what the Rambam meant. Which means to say, Don leKaf Zechus at this stage at least, doesn't mean if you see someone is doing something which looks terrible, and it probably is, it's something which is terrible, then you should be Don leKaf Zechus. It means you have something, someone's doing something which could be explained one way, it could be explained another, it's open to interpretation. You don't know whether the guy's a tzaddik or Rosh, you have no indication. It's like 50-50. Everything's equal. You don't know the guy from before. It's not pshat that you know that he's a Rosh, so then you maybe we'll soon see, maybe you could presume he's doing the bad thing. You don't know that he's a tzaddik, then maybe you could presume. So it's 50-50, you have the choice. That's where Donis Kol Adam leKaf Zechus comes in, according to the Rambam. Donis Kol Adam leKaf Zechus means where you don't know whether the guy, everything's 50-50, everything's equal. So then, Don leKaf Zechus.
When you have doubt.
No doubt. It's like an equal doubt.
doubt, then you
Exactly.
Okay.
And you could go either way. Without the Mishnah, 50-50. Either way would be just as valid. I don't know whether you keep Shabbos or not. I don't know. The Rambam says that's what leKaf Zechus means. Okay. So let's carry on. Avol im ha'adam noida shu tzadik mefursam b'polas ha'tovos. That's going about a case. Up until now, we've been talking about a person you don't know who he is, whether he's a tzaddik or rasha. But if you have a person who's well known, and it's well known shu tzadik mefursam b'polas ha'tovos, he's a tzaddik. He's well known tzaddik that everything he does is good. V'nir lo poel shekol inyana moirim shu poel ra. And here, he gives an example, not that something 50-50 where you see something which couldn't be interpreted both ways. You have something which really looks bad. The chances are it's 90% chance that he's doing something wrong. The mamish looks, to the naked eye, it looks like he's doing something wrong. And the only way of working out whether it's, and the only way of like saying, being machriya, deciding that it's good, is only what's called b'doicha gadol, meaning with a very big forced explanation, something which is not reasonable to say, but it's a possibility. It's a very far possibility. In that case, since he's a tzaddik, so you even where everything points the other way, you presume that it's good. Since there's still a possibility that he could be good, and it's not permissible for you to suspect him. In other words, you can't suspect he's doing something wrong. With regards to this, the Chachamim said, it seems that the Rambam is saying this is not included in leKaf Zechus. leKaf Zechus is when you have a 50-50 case, a person you don't know, an action which could be interpreted this way, could be interpreted that way. That's leKaf Zechus. But if you have a tzaddik who, if not for seeing this thing that he did, you would say he would never do such a thing. But you see him doing such a thing, and there's only a very small possibility that that it's an okay thing that he's doing, it's a good thing that he's doing. Still explain that it's good, but that's not leKaf Zechus. The Rambam, I think this is what the Rambam is saying. Because the Rambam carries on, he says that with regards to this, the Chachamim said, it's a Gemara in Shabbos, Daf Tzadik Zayin Amud Aleph. Kol ha-choyshed b'ksheim lo yike b'gofi. That's the term choyshed b'ksheim. Choyshed b'ksheim is not leKaf Zechus. Choyshed b'ksheim is you know someone is a fine Jew, and you're going to suspect, because you've done something, you've seen him do something which taka looks bad, and everything, 90% chance, if you didn't know the guy, you would say, he's for sure done something bad. That's a choyshed b'ksheim. Kosher guy, you're not allowed to suspect him of doing something wrong. Ha-choyshed b'ksheim lo yike b'gofi. Someone who suspects someone from doing good is lo yike b'gofi, is leKaf Zechus, he gets punished with his body. Now, the other extreme, one of the guys a rasha. Similarly, when someone's a rasha and his actions have been publicized, meaning everyone knows that he's a rasha. Hey, you have the other way around. It's a rasha, but he's doing something which could be interpreted in two ways, but really it looks like he's doing a good thing. So here, and there's a slight possibility that he's doing something wrong. This is the interesting lashon of it. Says Rambam. It's careful, it's appropriate to guard yourself from him, not to believe that it's good. Doesn't sound right. It sounds like, what do you mean? There's a possibility it could be good. So we say no. Since he's a rasha, so then you have to suspect that he's doing wrong. And I think this is some sort of precautionary measure of not getting involved with him. You know, if someone's a well-known rasha, you keeping a distance. By keeping a distance, included in keeping a distance is that you don't believe. Yeah.
If you know somebody rasha, who's crossing old lady the street, so he's a rasha gamu, or he's doing something good.
Okay, so he's doing something good. It's probably something where it's still not. It's not clear, but it looks like he's doing something good. Can't think of an example, but
לבדוק שהוא לא גונב לה את הארנק בזמן שהוא מעביר אותה, כי אם הוא רשע גמור, אז יש לו איזה תכנון משהו שהוא מעביר.
That's also true. That's also true.
הוא מתכנן משהו עליה, אל תדאג.
But nobody is totally bad, totally bad. The guy with the big iceberg is supposed to stay away from him, but he also does, he's macabre his parents, so I know what. So you should still stay away from him. But the thing here, he's saying you should judge him that he's doing bad. The Rasha,
he's a hammy man. He's
a hammy man. I understand, but why should you be don him leKaf Chayva
Yeah.
That's a
But the
question.
reason when he
We're
saw
parents.
something,
Well,
when he
30
saw
years to
somebody
take
do
you to
something
class
wrong,
school.
he looked at himself.
Hear me?
I saw this
Well,
something
30
that I did
is
must
your
be
brother.
Right.
I do.
12:30 I is think your something else.
I do.
I think that when you're looking at somebody and you're judging them based on what your level is, and then you look and you decide if they're higher or lower than what you are. So as soon as you're judging, the only reason that somebody could judge somebody else is if they were a bezdin or somebody who has das Torah that they could judge. Otherwise, you have no reason, you have no authority to judge somebody else.
Yeah. Yeah.
We hear many stories in the stories that a person died, again, Bedin Shulman, Bedin Shulman asked him, what you saying about this and this? So he judged. And then they say, okay, that question is for you, because
Right,
you did
right, right.
Have you done leKaf Zechus? You say good about him, you say good about you.
Gemara in Shabbos.
Well done.
Gemara in Shabbos says over there's a story that someone saw someone do terrible things. Your mamish looked terrible, and the Rebbe asked his Talmud, what did you think when I was doing this, when I was doing that? So the Talmud said, I thought for everything I thought you had some sort of good excuse. The Rebbe said that's taka what happened, and he ended up by saying, "Kashem, just like you judged me, leKaf Zechus, the Eibishter will also." So before Gemara in Shabbos, it's even. Later, there's more of an arichas in Baal Shem Tov and in other Sfarim about how it works, the mechanics of why, when we judge somebody favorably, the Eibusha does that. That's a different thing. But the marker, the first marker, the Gemara in Shabbos says clearly that someone judges the schar or the outcome of someone judging leKaf Zechus, a friend, is that the Eibusha will judge you leKaf Zechus also.
Now, why they use the word haveh? Why haveh? Haveh is to give you, it's the ordering you. Yes. Why haveh? That's.
I don't know.
But wait, Rabbi, I just want to understand. Did you read from the Rambam or from somewhere that if the guy is a Russia,
Yeah, this is what we just read.
that you should be done leKaf Zechus?
If he's a Russian Mefursum, that's what he uses the word.
Yeah, okay. I
think it's like a terrible
Yeah.
Russia. I don't think he's talking about Stam and guy.
Oh, okay, because I had a home master once with somebody I know in Shiva, and then I judged him, and it turned out the whole thing wasn't true. You never know the facts, you know what I mean? I still hold it's good to stay away from him, but why do you have to judge him? Because judging him, you don't know all the facts. I'm not ashamed at the
Yeah, I hear you. I don't know. I don't know exactly the deal.
Yeah.
We'll see. If I had more time, I'll be able to get to it. I want to just focus on the question, the Sefer Mitzvah in the Rambam. How does the Rambam here finish off in the Pirush HaMishnah is the Rambam? He goes back to how he started. But and it seems like all those cases, whether guys are tzaddik or guys are rasha, and you're judging him according to what you have reason to believe, because if he's a tzaddik, presumably he's doing good things, and if he's a rasha, presumably he's doing bad things. That's not don leKaf Zechus, so that's not included in don leKaf Zechus. Don leKaf Zechus is like he says, the way he finishes up is the way he started. When you don't know the guy, and the thing that he's doing is not clear which way, which way which way you should go. And here the Rambam says it clearly, by the way. Here's clear steer to what he says in Sefer Mitzvah. It's the derech chassidus, which always means lefnei and it's not something you're actually obligated to do. But the derech chassidus, the proper thing to do is shetadin leKaf Zechus. You should judge favorably whatever side it should be. Always judge favorably. So that is the Pirush HaMishnah the Rambam on the Mishnah. So then to get to the answer to the question between the steer of Sefer Mitzvah and the Rambam, it's important to go back now to the sources a second. And if you see that the Sefer Mitzvah says something very interesting, or even go back to the Gemara in Shavuos. The Gemara in Shavuos doesn't say have they done as kol ha'adam leKaf Zechus. It's a different language there. I'm going to say that there's two types of don leKaf Zechus over here. One of them is the chiyuv. This is the introduction. The answer is going to be that there's the one type of don leKaf Zechus which is the chiyuv, which comes from Mesadik Tishbet to Sami Sechel. And there's another type of don leKaf Zechus which is middas chassidus, which is a mission in Pirkei Avos, which is the way, like the Rambam says in Deus, it's the Talmud Chacham, the way the Talmud Chacham should behave. How do we get to that? So let's see. The Gemara in Shavuos doesn't use the word, when the Gemara explains Mesadik Tishbet HaMisachah means don leKaf Zechus, the Gemara doesn't use the word don as kol ha'adam leKaf Zechus. He says, and I'm going to read it again, Havidon es chavercha leKaf Zechus.
Not kol adam.
But tzaddik tishbin amisacha. That's also the pasuk. Judge your friend favorably. Havidon es chavercha leKaf Zechus. Judge your friend favorably. What's pshat? It's like this. Chavercha leKaf Zechus means someone who you basically know is. He's not a tzaddik. He's not a tzaddik. He's a chavercha. He's an average guy, Adam Beinani, an average guy who tries to do the best thing. So he does something which isn't good. He does something which isn't good. You should. There's a chiyuv of b'tzadik tishbis hamisacha. Then there's an absolute chiyuv of b'tzadik tishbis hamisacha should be done leKaf Zechus. However, in the Mishnah, the Mishnah is done as kol adam leKaf Zechus, and the Rambam in Hilchos Deis, right, where there it sounds like it's either a middas chassidus or it's something that Talmud Chacham should aspire to. There you see clearly the Rambam uses a different lashon. The Rambam uses the lashon. And the Mishnah uses the lashon first. So the Mishnah said donas kol adam leKaf Zechus. So there's two things. There's the Mishnah's don leKaf Zechus, and there's the Gemara in Shavuos is don leKaf Zechus. The Gemara in Shavuos is don leKaf Zechus is explaining but tzaddik tishbis hamisacha. There's a mitzvah asay min haTorah to judge your friend favorably. But what? It doesn't say donas kol adam leKaf Zechus. Chavercha, your friend, someone who you know who he is. You know who he is. So therefore you've got a chiyuv 50-50. Go one way. But if you don't know the guy bichlal. Yes, it's 50, but you don't know it. Maybe he's a Russia. Why do you have to presume the best thing about every Yidden on the street? That is what the Gemara. That is what the Mishnah in Pirkei Avos, which the Rabbi always emphasized. Pirkei Avos, it says another place, Mili de chassidus. So the Pirkei Avos is full of things which are lifnei mishor sadin. In Pirkei Avos, the thing which is not mitzvah sasei min haTorah, just the middas chassidus. That's the dones kol adam to judge every single person, even if you don't know who he is. The leKaf Zechus. And it's very meduyak in going to the Rambam, the steer in the Rambam. It's meduyak also in the lashon of the Rambam. It's very clear in the lashon of the Rambam. Let's go back to Sefer Mitzvahs. Sefer Mitzvahs.
I'm not even getting into this thing in the Gemara that ha'adam means a guy also.
Yeah.
Ha'adam.
The other way around. I think the other way around. I think Adam is a yid and ha'adam is only a yid. Adam is a guy.
Right. So I'm saying says having done us kol ha'adam.
It's only yidden.
It would mean
only yidden.
Adam goyim odom, we're not going goyim odom.
Right, but I think ha'adam is a guy.
I just want to say.
I'm not sure.
Yeah, there's a Tosfos.
Right, I think Adam.
I think it's the other way around. Adam is goyim, and ha'adam is a yid. That way around. Yeah, so the person is more specific. That's.
I'm not sure,
yeah.
But anyway, all right.
It's true. Very good point. Very good. So
where is such a thing that we make the distinction between Adam and Ha'adam?
That's in Pirkei Avos.
No, it's a Tosfos. It's a Gemara maybe even. The Tosfos to Atam Kruin Adam. It says it. Yidden are called Adam. The ain Frek Tosfos. Tosfos has the kasha over there. What do you mean we see somewhere else where Adam refers to everybody? I can't remember. Yeah. He answers depends. Adam Ha'adam. If it's Adam, it refers to Goyim, and Ha'adam refers to Yidden, if I remember correctly.
But the pasuk in Yecheskel is opposite. It says,
go on.
Atem kuruim Adam, not Ha'adam.
You're called Adam. You're referred to. Yeah, I don't know. I have to look it up. I don't remember how it was. Either way, I think that's what Tosfos says. It's a good question, but the Tosfos says that.
Makes the distinction.
What's Adam u'behema toshei Hashem?
Yeah.
Who is this for? Adam or
Goyim could also be to. What's Toshia?
No, Adam u'behema. Put the Adam next to behema, so it's a goy. Adam u'behema toshei Hashem.
I don't know. You have to look in the Mefarshim, but the Mach's not even a Talmud.
So going back again to the steer in the
Odom that look like a Odom, and there's a Hodom that look like Odom.
So let's just go back. We started off with the stira, Sefer Mitzvahs and the Rambam. The Sefer Mitzvahs, it says the mitzvah b'sadik tishbet samisecha, the Torah, mitzvahs asi min ha-Torah, chiyuv min ha-Torah from the Torah is to judge favorably. In the Yad HaChazak, in the Rambam, he says no. In the Rambam, he just says the Talmud Chacham should be done as kol adam leKaf Zechus. How do we answer? So I wanted to answer. So this is not me. The Chafetz Chaim writes what I'm saying. So Chafetz Chaim, this answers from the Chafetz Chaim. Chafetz Chaim answers that this is that depends. There's the Shavuos Daf Lamed. There's the Dones Chaver Chol leKaf Zechus. If it's your friend, someone you know, he's a fine person, he's an okay guy. Then there's a Chiyuv leKaf Zechus. If you don't know who he is, then and we can answer the Rambam that way as well. And it's not just stam answering the Rambam. In Sefer Mitzvahs, the language he uses fits this as well. Let's go back. Kuf Ayin Zayin. He says he should tzivonu the mitzvah for the judges, etc. And then he says, Uvichlolo gamkein sheyischayev sheyodun es chaveiroi leKaf Zechus. Sefer Mitzvah writes clearly. It doesn't say sheyodun es kol ha'adam leKaf Zechus. The chiyuv is to judge your friend leKaf Zechus, to judge your friend favorably. Someone you know, he's a fine guy. And in Pirkei Avos, and when he explains the Mishnah Dones Kol Adam leKaf Zechus, he says no, it's talking about someone you don't know. And in the Rambam as well, in Hilchos Deis, where he's talking about the middas that Talmud Chacham should aspire to, it doesn't say Yichaber. It says Dones Kol Adam, everybody, even people you don't know. That's the difference, and that's how we can answer. It's the Chofetz Chaim answers, not my answer. Chofetz Chaim answers how we answer the stira between Sefer Mitzvahs and the Rambam. That's how he deals with the contradiction.
The only other place we use Russian Tavera is one she addressed Tavera by Alois Shachar. I remember what
Yerushalmi explains.
Was Talis or the
Both.
Krishma?
Talis, Tefillin, Krishma.
Yes,
earliest time.
Right?
Right.
So it means somebody who you know casually.
Casually. Very good.
Right.
Yeah.
You recognize.
Because if he's a good friend, you'll see him from afar, and if he's someone you don't know, you won't recognize him at all. So it's an acquaintance. It's someone you know casually.
So where does it go? It goes on Kriyishma or it goes on
All of them. It depends.
I don't remember what Mashiach
It's according to many shittas. It's all three: Kriyishma, Talis, and Tefillin. The earliest time.
There's another thing that I don't know exactly.
It's a different opinion. Either it's a different opinion or it's talking about different things. It's complicated. It's not simple. And that's the answers between Sefer Mitzvah and Rambam. Okay, but Ad Kan, we basically said that leKaf Zechus means when you don't know whether you see an action, you don't know the guy, you don't know whether we're talking about the chiyuv of leKaf Zechus, whether we're talking about the middas chassidus of leKaf Zechus, but the toichen, the content is the same. You don't know if someone's doing something, you don't know whether it's good or bad. Judge favorably. But ones where you see a guy mamish doing an aveira, you see a guy eating chazah, you see a guy. Okay, so then again, he could have. It could be. There'll be cases where there's
he's sick and he has to eat something.
So exactly.
This is leKaf Zechus.
Saying, but you could have cases where you see, you know the guy. The guy slept in. He's lazy. He went to, and he's missed Krishma. You know that he's. How can you leKaf Zechus? What's leKaf Zechus then? So the poskim talk about it, and they say leKaf Zechus can also be shaykh then. Although the Pashup Shah in the Mishnah, the simple meaning of the Mishnah is like the Mefarshim, the Rambam, and Rabbi Yoina, and Rashi, and all the Mefarshim, basically they explain it's talking about an action which we don't know how to interpret it. What happens about, but an action which you can interpret it, and there's no leKaf Zechus. But still we find that even with regards to such a person as leKaf Zechus, and the Rebbe makes this point in the Sikha. The Rebbe in the Sikha says this. The Rebbe says, there's a footnote over there, I'll read it, but it's a long sikha, but the Rebbe basically says, in the Mefarshei HaMishnah of Avos, shekavonas HaMishnah lemaisa she'efshei lefarshe sheyamase tova ma'isra. And the Mefarshei HaMishnah explains the Mishnah of leKaf Zechus, something which can be interpreted this way, could be interpreted that way. Shetzorich l'doin leKaf Zechus, the pshat in the Mishnah is that you need to judge favorably, which means to say that you decide in your head and you nothing was done wrong. Elon niskaven v'hoyamais, the Tova's intention and actual action was good. That's what the Mefarshei Mishnah says. It says the Rebbe carries on. He says no, I don't know. Avol mizem muvan lichoira. The Rebbe says from this is understood lichoira. Shegam im boru shenasis averu. Even if you're 100% clear that an averu was done, al kolponim tzrichim l'doin leKaf Zechus, you still need to judge leKaf Zechus. Limtzei tam v'limut zchus lo yashim b'zeh. To find, what does it mean? To find a time, a reason, the limud zchus, and a rationalization, a favorable rationalization that he's not guilty. Again, this doesn't mean the person himself should do this. People always sin and then they make rationalizations for their own sins. We're not talking about that. We're talking about another person. Our attitude towards other people should always be, and this is including leKaf Zechus. You see someone doing something which is for sure an aveira. You see, it might not be as bad as it looks. There might be circumstances, he might have been, whatever it may be, he still did an Aveira, but you can be done leKaf Zechus, you can minimize how bad it is by saying.
He's a pintalayid.
I'll quote what Tanya Periglam, it says clearly in the Mishnah, Al Todnes Chavercha Shatgilim Koima, which is a similar idea which the Rebbe wants to link two together. Don't judge your friend until until you reach his place. The Tanya says in Perek Lamed, it's his circumstances, his place where he hangs out, his friends or whatever, his circle. This is what causes him to sin. His parnasa is to go in the market, the ain of rois, he sees things. Which means to say, if you in his situation, you might very well sin. You're looking down at him, you're looking as if he's a bad guy, but really, Don leKaf Zechus applies here also. He's not such a bad guy. Why are you looking at him as a bad guy? Because you never do such a thing. But you're not given his challenges. If you were given his challenges, who knows? So that's where Don leKaf Zechus can also be.
It's not a contradiction because the Rambam is just saying.
Right, it's not a contradiction.
If he's a Rosh Meforsim, then you don't have the chiyuv in such a case, but you could still be down leKaf Zechus. It's an altmilul of chassidus. He could still be down. You see, he's not saying you have to stay away from him. This is a different story.
Here he says, actually, for the footnote, he says, he's not talking about Rosh Meforsim. He says for Rosh Meforsim.
Yeah. But I'm saying, even in Rosh Meforsim, he's just saying you don't have a chiyuv to be down, but it doesn't mean you have to be down leKaf Chayva.
From the Rambam sounds like, actually, yeah. But there are others, there are other poskim, there are other Mefarshim who say differently.
Because
it said, "Al tadun et chavercha, ad shelo tamud."
you can never know what.
That's exactly what it is. Exactly what it
And
is.
that can be included in limud zchus. That can be included in limud zchus. But even when someone for sure did an avera,
That's right. That's always the case.
It's always the case, exactly.
Only the Eibush, Al Tadun Yechidi.
I have a friend in California that was mechav somebody to his Chabad house, etc.
Yeah.
And he's going to shul and he's seeing Shabbos by the light. So he passed by and say, "Hey, good Shabbos." He call his name, wherever, Yehuda, wherever.
Yeah.
He said, "But I'm driving the car." So the guy looked at him, he says, "I see you, I don't see the car."
That's
He
good.
thought about it, and make him to be Baal Tshuva.
Of course.
Wow.
Look, one word, he just said him, "I see
Right.
you." That's it.
Knowledge v'chaim b'yad Hashem.
And that's what made him change. So he was that leKaf Zechus.
No, I heard.
No, not to the Bible.
I heard a good Rabbi. Al Tadun El Es Chaver Cha'aksha Tegiyilum Kaimai. It's not Aksha Timotzei B'Makaimai. Aksha Tegiy. It's the whole Odyssey. His whole life that led him up to this thing,
Right.
which you could never know.
You can never be. You can
That's
never.
good.
You can never know when Chas V'Shalom Shetegiyilum.
Where you read? That's nice.
Mike friend, Mike Greenberg, all the show.
That's nice.
One last thing. The Rebbe's a very nice B over here. The Rebbe asks, still, that's not called Don leKaf Zechus. Don leKaf Zechus, that you're judging someone favorably. That just means you're not judging the leKaf Chayva. It means you're minimizing how bad the thing is. How is it shaykh to use the lashon Don leKaf Zechus? Don is kol adam. Judge every person. Which now we're saying every person means in every situation you can be Don leKaf Zechus. Even if the person, the Rabbi explains, okay, someone did something which is a clear sin, clear aveira, still be Don leKaf Zechus because you can explain it in a way that it's not as bad. But it's still not Zechus. Zechus means a mitzvah. Zechus means a merit. How is it a Zechus? So the Rabbi explains like this. The Rabbi explains that when you see a yid, which the Eibishter gave him such big nisyonis, if you see someone sinning, it must be the leKaf Zechus means the Don leKaf Zechus means that you say, oh, he must have very hard nisyonis, and it can't be that he's sinning in such a bad way. He must be sinning in a minimal way, which means he's got very bad nisyonis. He's got very strong challenges. What does that mean? When you see a yid who has strong challenges, it's dos gufa bavais. As the Eibishter welchen mevakish nur lefi koichem hat im frie gegeben hechre koiches zu keine beikommen schwer nisyonis. The Medrash Rabbi says, Ein HaKadosh Baruch Hu mevakish ele lefi koichem. Hashem only asks, Eibishter only asks you to do according to your ability. So if this person was given such big nisyonis, and he fell this time, it must be that ba'atzim there's a zchus over here. There's a zchus. This is a little bit what you're saying. There's a zchus. The fact that he has such big nisyonis means that he has the koiches, he has more koiches than anyone else. You don't find yourself in that situation. You don't find yourself in the situation that you're just about to judge that guy. How do you not judge the guy? By saying to yourself, well, he's in Mekoyim Goyim Lelachtoi, Parnasasi Leilach B'Shuk. He's got a lot of he's got challenges. So that's the zechus. The zechus is that when one realizes that the person has a lot of nisyonis, it must be that the Eibusha gave him a lot of koiches. It must be he has a. It must be that he has great koiches, and that's Don leKaf Zechus. And the Rebbe teaches us that when you actually speak, when you're Don leKaf Zechus, and when you speak good about people, even if they're not good, it brings out the good in them. That's like by Lashon Hara, it kills the person. It says it kills three people. And the question is, how? And this will finish off with this: okay, the person who said the Lashon Hara. Okay, the person who heard the Lashon Hara. But why the person who the spoken Lashon Hara is spoken about? So the answer is given that because the bad, when you speak bad about someone, it brings out the bad in him. It brings out the bad in him. Masha'en kain, if you speak good about someone, if you find there's a chus, donis kol adam leKaf Zechus, you always find there's a chus, you bring out the chus, then you actually bring out the good in the person that actually causes the person to